Hey, how you all going? It's Jai, that Aussie metal guy here with crank.com and with that metal station. And today I'm getting to have a chat with the lads from Bedtimemagic again, which I'm really excited about. Great guys. I got Nicholas at the moment and Morgan should be dropping in later as well. So thanks for joining me, man.
Yeah, absolutely. My pleasure.
Nah, my pleasure, man. Absolute pleasure. I loved that fucking last interview we done, man. It was a lot of fun and one that stuck with me.
Yeah.
I got a bone to pick with you guys. You started my vinyl obsession in a good way. My vinyl obsession. I was already wanting to get into vinyl again. And when you sent over the pack you sent me with the shirt and the vinyl and the tape, I'm like, now I got to go buy a record player. And since then, I've just been crazy on the vinyls, man.
Hey, it's infectious, right? Yeah, it's the other pandemic, getting addicted to vinyls.
I know, and they look so bloody good, don't they? They're just
yeah,
really
they do.
Nice.
The big artwork and just the record itself gets to have separate artwork. That part's pretty fun.
Yeah. So how you been coping with lockdown, man? Because I think I spoke to you was pre-lockdown, pre anything of this shit that's happened.
Yeah, it's been different. So since we last spoke, we went from lockdown to them slowly lifting things that they're asking us to do. We got rid of the mask mandate. We didn't have to wear masks. And then this variation, the Delta variation, started to sweep our way. And apparently, the vaccines and stuff don't do a great job with it. So we're starting to have to go into, we have a mask mandate again. They're not asking us to change a lot of our behaviors, but it's kind of on the table. You know what I mean? They haven't said venues are shut down again. They haven't changed what they're saying about restaurants, but people are sort of, it's on the horizon and we're a little anxious about that.
Yeah. So it would have really affected the live music industry. I know at the moment I'm going to fucking have a bone to pick about sports. So sorry, sports fans, tune out for about 5 minutes. But how was it over there? I know over here in Australia, we were still pushing through with sporting events. And even at the moment, we're having the Delta strain. We've got 2-3 states that are in lockdown. And we're still managing to put 26,000 into a footy game. And yeah, I understand why live shows are restricted because they're indoors, but it just kind of seems like a bit of hypocrisy the way that it's run at the moment. Was it the same over there?
Oh, yeah. A lot of, because I think they look at the revenue stream and they say, okay, well, sporting events, they bring in so much money and tourism and stuff. And well, these other things, they're just selling alcohol and whatever. I think it's stigmatized. Absolutely. And football, our football, with the brown ball and whatnot, always gets a pass, pun intended, for every fucking thing. We could have a pandemic of cancer. We could have fucking nuclear war. Well, how's that going to affect college football? How's that going to affect it? Yeah. So, we had that. The live shows, a lot of venues started doing outdoor live shows, the Worcester Palladium. Yeah. And that was good for them. And that was a change. The problems that we have are our country has really diverse, and not in a good way, diverse alcohol laws. Yeah. So everywhere you go, the laws surrounding alcohol change, sometimes dramatically. And some places you can have the concert outside, but you can't have alcohol outside.
Okay.
So that can be a problem for a business because they can move the audience outside and the audience can have a good time, but they can't have a drink there. Whereas if they were inside, they could be drinking the alcohol, which is great for the venue, helps them generate income, but they have to separate those things, and that can be an issue.
Yeah, over here we've had those kind of restrictions as well, but you could, in the venue, you can get drinks, but you can't walk around. You've got to sit down. So if you're walking around, you've got to wear a mask. Seated gigs as well, things like that of that nature have been been happening, but it's hard. I suppose it's a lot harder for bands to kind of get them in for that seated venue. We tried to have one here in Renmark. Smo from a band called Celebrate tried to get Hidden Intent and Those Left Behind, a few other bands from Adelaide down here into the Riverland. And then we just had to cancel it because no one wants to go. Half of these people don't want to go to a show, especially in country areas, wear a bloody mask and then sit down for a metal show as well.
Yeah, it's too awkward, right? It's a type of music where you want to engage and you can't really engage if you're sitting down.
Yeah, and I did see, though, a band here in Brisbane, man. They started booking shows. They started hitting up footy clubs, like rugby league footy clubs up in Brisbane, to play shows at a footy game. Yeah, I think they got the right fucking idea, man. So
that is the right idea.
They were following around to footy games and just playing at the footy bloody show there.
That's smart.
Isn't it?
That is actually a great way to meld ideas.
Yeah, it is a great way to meld ideas. I don't know how we're going to go trying to get some of the bands that we absolutely love playing some of these shows, but
yeah.
So the split. I want to talk about your split with Greylock. Can you tell us a little bit about the band Greylock first? Because you messaged me when this you were doing this, and I got a sneaky preview of it all, and then I went over to Bandcamp and bought the digital copy as well because that's where I roll.
Oh, thanks, man. Appreciate that. You're very supportive. I like that. You know, like you kind of live and breathe what you're saying, which is refreshing.
Yeah, it is.
No, good.
Yeah, it is refreshing, man. So what I like to, when you hit me up about this Greylock, I had to go back and check out Greylock and check out all their music. And as you said, grab the split. It's one of those things I do walk the walk and talk the talk.
Yeah, you get at them. The split, we played a show with them. And then we were like, oh, these guys are pretty good. They're a two-piece, they're very loud. They have a lot of amps and whatnot. We chatted with them. They seem like chill guys. Then we started playing a couple different shows with them. We would, show up places, and we weren't even booking the shows. People were just booking us together. And we realized we had a lot in common, but they were a doom band, and we're like fast and short songs. And we said, hey, it's kind of the writing's on the wall. We should probably do a split together. And they were like, yeah, we should probably do a split together. And I remember that, back in like the 90s and shit, when a lot of bands were doing 7-inches, one band would be one side of a 7-inch, the other band would be the other side of a 7-inch, and a couple of bands would cover each other's songs, especially if they were kind of different from each other. So I said, how about we do that? And they said, oh, that'll be a lot of fun. Yeah, like a tribute kind of thing. I said, yeah. So we did that, and it came out some of our best material. We got to work with this dude that kept coming to our shows named Alex Allenson, and he's a great guy. He's like you. He's just all the different stuff, a lot of classic metal that, if you poke him enough, he'll be like, yeah, I had a few Pantera records, I had this, that, And it was nice to work with him. I think that's the big thing, especially like adults like yourself and Morgan and myself, where we're not like just fresh on the scene like 20-year-old kids.
Yeah.
Where I think being part of the scene and being part of the subculture, it's important to have people that are just honest, real people who are comfortable to talk to. Even if Greylock was a shitty band, it would just be nice to have dudes that are just fun to talk to that we shared a record with.
Yeah, and the covers you were talking about, Greylock done the King Size track from you guys, and you guys done the Wagon Jumper track from Greylock.
Yeah. And King Size is one of our shortest songs, like 30 seconds long or 28 seconds long or something. And then they stretched it out to be, 4 minutes or something?
Yeah, tried to put that doom aspect into it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool. I love doom metal at the moment, man. I kind of felt a little lost like the last few years. I've come across doom metal. Like I'd heard of doom metal bands before, and I'd listened to some here and there, but I've really been enjoying diving into some fucking doom metal the last few years and bands like Greylock.
Yeah, you've been listening to, like, what's some of the stuff that you've been listening to lately? Because I know you had Howard on your show, right? From Killswitch?
Howard Jones.
Which is huge. He was the best singer for them, hands down. I mean, no offense to anybody else that's been in Killswitch, but he's great, man. He's got pipes. So
he does. That was really cool to chat with Howard. It's spins me out, man, when I sit back and think about some of the people I've chatted with. And you were talking about people being real and doing this for the love of it. I've been doing this coming on 5 years. I don't make a single dollar out of it. I just do it for the love of supporting the scene. And as you mentioned, you see these young 20-year-olds come through sometimes, and they start, and then they see the amount of work that's involved behind the scenes, and then they go, then their head explodes. I remember hitting up one lad, and I'm like, oh, do you want to come over and write some reviews? And they're like, yeah, for sure. How much are we getting paid? And I'm like, you ain't getting paid fucking nothing, mate. None of the bands are getting paid. What makes you think you're getting paid, buddy?
It's all sacrifice. And I think the problem with us, and this isn't to toot my own horn or anything, but Morgan and I talk about this a lot. When we started this band, we knew we'd have some fans, but we didn't think we'd be popular. And we're starting to get popular, and I don't know what the fuck to do with that. Because I've never been in a band that had, like, fans I didn't know or hadn't met before,
And that's the thing, Nicholas, like just being there, like fucking sticking it out, you know what I mean? Going through those hard yards for how many bloody years since you first started, pushing through with Bedtimemagic and just being there and representing and bringing out that body of work.
Yeah, it pays off. It's just, at the end of it, you cuts and bruises and scrapes, but you get there.
Yeah, so Bandcamp, I do got to mention Bandcamp. If people want to head over to Bandcamp, what do we got? Bedtimeboston.bandcamp.com. You can get over there and you can buy a whole lot of merch. You can buy some vinyl tapes. There's a whole lot of cool stuff on there from Bedtimemagic. If you all want to head over and support the lads, they bring out some great music. I absolutely love what these guys are throwing down. Really cool guys as well. Tell us a little bit about the making of the Greylock one split. How'd that work? Did they do their part and send it off to you, or tell us the process of it all?
Yeah, kind of. I always miss the opportunity when we talk about them to actually discuss what type of band they are.
Yeah.
Because with Morgan and me, we're just sarcastic assholes. We're sort of we're low lives, we're has-beens, and for them, they're people who actually like have that ire. They have that like disdain and stuff in their bodies. And Mike is the real fucking deal. Like when I see, like I know we've used that term a bunch throughout this episode, but Mike like lives and breathes the songs he's writing. They're basically journal entries. And it's fucking crazy because when I see them play, he's such a soft-spoken person, and there's this fucking venom that comes out of his mouth, like this catharsis when he hits the strings. And so for them, they did things very differently. Jesse, their drummer, is a sound engineer, and he worked for, I think it's called the Record Company or something like that here. It was like a recording studio. So he did a little bit of the work for them. They worked with this girl, Miranda, I'm going to mispronounce it, Miranda Sarah G, or maybe it's Miranda Sarah G. And she did a lot of their stuff. The reverb on their record, that's all fucking, that was from a hallway, like a warehouse. So when he's like shouting and he's like, the plane's over Logan, it's just his voice going way down this hallway. Like it's not a digital plug-in or something. And for us, it was kind of a different experience. We just gathered a bunch of amps at this place called The Bridge, which is in Cambridge. And it was just beating the idea back and forth with Alex and trying to get good sounds out of it and just takes and trying not to blow out our voice. And it was a little bit more DAW, digital audio workstation oriented, which is abnormal for us, but we're having to grow up and get used to that. The whole world's digital, so.
Yeah, the whole world is digital. I'm noticing a lot more bands being able to work from home and do things in their own time. I know the pandemic's been an absolute cunt on the world and a pain in the ass, but it's also forced bands to look at new ways of doing things and working together and working from distance as well.
What's crazy too is that all this like home recording and people having those digital audio workstations and stuff has made people start thinking about mic placement more. Like it used to be, if you did a home recording, you just stick a fucking mic in front of your amp and go to town. And now people are noticing if you stick it a little to the left or a little to the right, it sounds different. So I just think that's kind of neat. Like 30 years ago, we weren't thinking about where to put the mic when we were recording at home. And now they got like little plugins. You make it seem like the mic's in a different spot. Yeah, it's kind of neat.
It is kind of neat. It's good to see the way things are going with these bands. I know we have a lot of bands out there, but people really got to sift through it all and find the gold like that,
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, recording that split was good. And I think it gave us something to break up the monotony. And I think it gave us a chance to build a relationship with Alex. And then we have another record coming out next year, an LP. And we went in there, we just very comfortable, and we knew we had learned from that experience, and we could bring sort of that Greylock split experience to the new record that we worked on with him.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to next year then, dude. That's going to be cool as. So tell me a little bit about your songwriting process, Nicholas. How do you get inspired, man? What inspires you, mate?
You want just my perspective or the band itself?
Whatever, mate.
It's funny. When we started the band, it was all puns. It was all like tongue in cheek. And then I wrote this song called Waking Dream. That was on Pillow Talk. It's the last song. And it was just straight up about how when I was in my teens and in my 20s, I did a lot of like drugs and stuff, and that I kind of put myself in a bad position and lost direction. And that ended up being a song that people really could relate to and that people liked. And I think that drew out of me more of a desire to start writing seriously, but kind of tuck it into the other stuff we do.
Yeah.
So for me, it goes back and forth. Sometimes I'll write like blanket statement on the Greylock split. I've been thinking about, do you know what the concept of the third death? You ever heard about that? Like spiritual death and the death of the
Kind of. It just sounds familiar. Tell us a little bit more, man. I have kind of heard this.
So there's obviously the die. We all born, and then someday everybody that you actually had an experience with is gonna die. You know, like all of your friends and all of your family that you know, like the people you've touched are gonna die. And then one day, the last person that remembers you in any way that says your name, they're gonna die.
Yeah.
And when that person dies, you're gone. There's so many people. Think about it. There must have been 6 billion people at least before us. And we don't remember even a percent, like a tiny percentage of them. So when I wrote Blanket Statement, I immediately was thinking about that. And I wanted to write the most like straightforward, like lyrically straightforward thing about how, we're born to be forgotten. And at times it just, right? Like, what's the fucking point? Like, 6,000 years from now, like they're probably not going to talk about Jai, nothing personal, and they're not going to talk about Nicholas. Yeah,
they'll pull out some old bedtime magic split.
Yeah,
what the fuck?
What's this? So for me, I wrote those lyrics, and I immediately started writing the bass part to the lyrics, and then I brought it to Morgan, and I was like, "Hey, I have this song, and it's like 90% my ideas. Are you comfortable with that?" And he was like, "I don't give a shit," and I was like, "Okay." But then other times, like with Wagon Jumper, which was our variation on the Greylock song, that was all Morgan. Morgan came up with every aspect of that. He said, no, we got to change this. We got to change that. So for the band, it's a back and forth. In the beginning, I think I really wanted it to be some of my songs and have a drummer that would have been a person that was just sort of accenting what I was doing. But I've learned to be very collaborative with him. He's a very interesting guy, and he's different enough from me that he'll push me in directions that I wouldn't have chosen to go.
Yeah, he's a cool guy. I enjoyed chatting to him last time and checking out his vinyl collection sitting behind him. That was one of another reason.
It's like tripled.
It was no shit. Yeah, that was crazy last time I seen it, man. I sit here sometimes and interview some of these bands, and I look at their vinyl collection, and I just totally get lost. I'm like, fuck, man, that's a killer collection. One day, Jai.
And he listens to all of it. He'll put a record on and just sit there and stare off into space. Like that's his thing,
That's really good because like it does create that experience putting in your records and get lost with it. That people do fucking forget about. Always listening to Spotify and that fucking bullshit all the time. It kind of does my head. And I understand why we're doing it. Yeah, it gets extra listens and whatever. But if you are sitting there and only listening to an artist on Spotify, do yourself a fucking service and support the band and go buy the album.
It really makes a difference. And just on Spotify, you don't have oh shit, I forgot about this moment. You have to go looking for things. Where with the vinyl, like I'm looking at like a Thou record. I'm like, oh yeah, I haven't listened to that Thou record in a while. I should put that on.
Yeah, and vinyl is a fucking really cool format. As I was saying before, I had to thank you guys for getting me into vinyl as well. Also, Morgan, that fact we talked last time, koalas and chlamydia. That has not left my head since then. Now I'm like,
me neither. The drop bears thing. I'm still afraid a drop bear is going to come onto my head.
I know, and they have been suffering during this pandemic. No tourists to attack the poor fucking drop bears.
What are they going to eat?
I know. What are the drop bears going to bloody eat? The poor things, man. So yeah, have you got some shows coming up? I'm seeing. Is that right?
Yeah, we do. We're booked up until the end of the year, and we're following through on those. And so far, so good. Like I said, they haven't changed the policies for those. Everybody's got to wear masks when they're not performing. Everybody's going to show a vaccination card. So we're going to go through with those, and we're slowly booking 2022 and being optimistic about that, because we were going to try to rebook our tour that we canceled for the pandemic. And we got, we started talking with some of the people that we had booked with for that tour the second time around. And then, it's just, we're hoping to make it through that. And we're hoping to do a lot to support the new LP that's coming out, because we put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into that.
Yeah, it's hard for the underground scene, especially harder for the underground scene. Also for the bigger bands as well, because as we just alluded to Spotify, playing live is a really, really big part of being in a band these days. And actually, being able to pay for some studio time or buy a guitar or at least pay for people to get to a show.
Well,
like if you don't
all
have
of this
shows,
is to support the live performance. Like to us, being in a band is playing live.
Yeah.
And when you don't do that, it's like you're just sitting around kind of padding everything until you can get back on the stage.
Yeah, well, the sound of Bedtime Magic is just made for playing bloody live. Yeah, it's great
Yeah.
listening to it on the album, but catching you guys live would just be insane, man. Something I'm hoping to do fucking sometime.
We wanted. We looked at tickets down to Australia, and they are expensive.
Expensive, man.
Yeah, and then we were talking
over there.
Yeah, right. I thought about getting you a ticket to come up and hang out, but that was expensive too. So, and there was one ticket for like $800, but it's 48 hours consistently. You're on a plane for 48 hours. It's not worth it to do that, man.
It's like 2 days, man. That's full on.
Yeah. We were looking to get over to Europe, and we're hoping that in 2022 or the beginning of 2023, we can be over in Europe. We do have some fans over there.
Europe would be
good. It's just a question of how it's going to. Well, yeah, Europe would be dope, right? At least get started in that direction and get people interested in it. And we're talking to that UK label still about getting a UK pressing of Pillow Talk, and we've been talking to a German label about getting a EU pressing, because now you have to separate the two, because they're different realms now. But an EU pressing of Pillow Talk and the new record, Between the Sheets. So.
Yeah, that whole splitting of the UK and Europe, but you guys would be great over in the UK and Europe. I fucking reckon.
I think it'd be good, Yeah. Dude, even if they look at us as a joke, then we're traveling comedians. It's fine.
They love music over there in Europe. I've spoken to so many bands like from Australia and all over that have gone to Europe and have just nothing but praise for the crowds over there and how they get in and support the shows. And it seems like America and Australia could probably learn a thing or two about getting along and supporting the live music scene when it's going as well, especially for the underground scene. Because I know over in Europe, they do get along to those underground shows and really pack them out and support them.
Yeah, everybody I know that's played overseas, especially Germany, says that people actually dance over there too, which is pretty cool.
Yeah,
they start like, oh, it's circle pits. They're still in the circle pits, push pits, and I'm like, oh wow.
So have you guys started working on the new LP yet? Don't give away.
LP's done.
Done, is it?
Yeah,
oh, cool.
Yeah, it's done. Everything's done except it's just not pressed. We were getting it. We were going to get it pressed down in New Orleans record pressing, Norp. Yeah. And they had a hurricane down there this past week. And so they're all flooded out. That's delayed the process. There's going to be a U.S. Tape for pre-orders. And the tape hasn't been done yet. I'm working on the artwork. But the artwork's done. Everything's been mastered. Everything's been recorded. We worked with Andrew Snyder as he did Pillow Talk.
Yep.
We worked with him again as the executive producer.
Awesome.
And then he came in with Alex Allenson, and they worked together to engineer the whole thing.
Ah, cool, man. I'll keep your eyes peeled to this space with Bedtimemagic LP. That's going to be really good, man. Hey, is
sorry for my brain's all over the place.
My brain's all over the place this morning. I'm dosed up on cough and cold medicine, down in like sugary caffeine fucking drinks.
I should have water.
I know. I should drink more water as well. It's been crazy. You mentioned vaccination cards, and I'm totally, look, I'm cool with it. I'm going to go get fucking my vaccination just so we can have live music. And there's a lot of fucking talk on both ends of it all, and I understand. I think a vaccination card would be good, but I think we need to chuck some of those stupid fucking anti-vaxxers on there that wouldn't vaccinate some of their kids as well.
Yeah, just fucking. You see it all the time, and there's a day doesn't go by without a news story about somebody that was like, I'm anti-vax, and then suddenly they're in the hospital. It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I know. It's a crazy fucking time we're living in at the moment. But if there's anything we can do to get this live music industry going again and start opening up borders and reaching, what do they say, a fucking COVID normal now or something like that, you know what I mean? And
Dude,
go
just
forward
anything.
with the music industry. Yeah.
The minute you're born, they give you vitamin K or something, and then they give you that shot, and then you get these shots, and it's like people at some point in their life, they take a detour and they start thinking this stuff is to hurt them instead of help them. I don't really know where they're coming from on that,
Yeah,
I understand. Sorry, not to get in the whole vaccine thing. It's just I understand. It's my body and my choice. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I just think that if you're hurting others with it, it stops being your choice so much, and they're hurting the general population.
Yeah, I really just want this live music industry to kick off again. It's really doing my head in, and it just kind of fucking breaks my heart a little bit. Bands like yourself that live and thrive on stage. It is good to see you still working and remaining busy. So if you can't play live, trying to, and you still got these shows coming up as well, which we should give them a plug out. What's this? O'Brien's Pub, is it?
Yeah.
September 11th. That's the next one. That's my daughter's birthday, dude.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, man. That's gonna be cool.
She's a Virgo.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. I don't know why I know that. Doesn't make a difference, right? It's the moon or the fucking stars.
Yeah, that's it. What's that venue like down there? What's that O'Brien's pub? That sounds fucking cool, man. Nice little venue.
Oh, you'd love it, man. It's a pub, and they got a tiny little stage. It's like a foot off the ground.
That's choice.
And it's gonna be a good show. I mean, who else is playing? Knockover City, which are friends of ours, and Sky Tigers, which are awesome. And Bricks and Mortar. I don't know them, but I'm going to hear them for the first time at that show. And it's just going to be a fun show with a local crowd. It's literally 1 block from our practice space. So I'm debating whether I should drive the stuff over or just drag it down the street.
Drag it down the street, eh?
Save on gas, right?
Yeah, that's you know. I like those little venues as well in the underground scene where you get a few people in there, and even with the people, the numbers of people that can go to venues, they always feel really good, you know. And I go to shows, it's been a while since I've gone to many shows at the moment, but when I'd go to these underground shows, you'd see the same sort of people and you create this friendship and camaraderie. I was saying before that I go to a pub and I feel fucking weird, but you catch me to one of those dingy fucking underground metal shows or rock or punk shows, I am right at bloody home.
Dude, it's so much fun, right? I can't really imagine a world where I'm playing larger venues consistently, you know what I mean? It's fun to play the big places, but it's much more fun to play the places where you can see everybody eye to eye.
Yeah, and it creates that experience as well for the listeners and the punters at these shows as well, because they're able to come over and have a beer with you and go, man, I like that music. Then they walk away telling all their bloody mates about the experience. And I have had the best fucking time going to these underground shows. And I've mentioned it before. You know, you go to some of these big shows. I went and seen Black Sabbath and it was great. I got to see Black Sabbath. It was fucking one of the things off my list, but he was like 20 fucking Ks away. It was this little dot up in the fucking, you know what I mean? Up on the stage there.
I can't do it, man. It's not worth it.
T-shirts. It's like, dude.
Yeah.
You walk away with this cold, impersonal experience. And yeah, it's good to see some big bands like that, but going on to these underground shows and catching guys like yourself and other bands
that's where it's at,
in the underground scene, that's where it's at, and that's where I've had the most bloody fun, met the best people and had the greatest time.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you on those statements.
So man, I like you always on the fucking ball with the underground scene. What bands should I be checking out, man? I got Greylock in there. Tell us, who are you listening to?
Yeah, Greylock's pretty good, man.
Yeah.
There's a band up here called Canyons. They're in Missouri. They're pretty good. The singer of that band runs a label called The Ghost Is Clear. Okay. And a lot of great heavy noise rock is coming out on that label. The label that we're doing a record with has a band called Nerver. Like a nerve, you know, in your body, but with an R at the end.
Okay.
They're great. Frack, F-R-A-C-K with an exclamation point. There's also a band, speaking of fracking, called Chat Pile. Have you heard of Chat Pile?
No. How do you spell it?
Fucking nuts, man. So chat, like we're having a chat.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And then pile, yeah. I guess their name's a reference to like I guess it's like a mining thing, like the leftover stuff from mining is called chat or something. And
okay,
yeah, I didn't know that. I thought it was a reference to talking, but they're good, man. They're
music is
dark.
educational, really educational.
I'm learning.
I'm always learning.
I'm learning through music what I didn't learn in school.
I know. I find that as I'm getting older, I'm learning more and taking more in now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Was there a saying like as soon as you stop learning, you're fucking dead or something? I don't know.
Who knows? Yeah. I wonder if you can learn after you're dead, though. That's something they haven't explored with science, you know?
Yeah, that's it. And with music, it's one thing that I always love being put in my place and learning about music as I'm doing this. I'm not a fucking musician, but I love music. I've always loved music. It's been, this is like an extension of myself. I was always the kid at parties with like great music from the underground scene. Go, fucking check this out, taking over your stereo. So for me, this has always been an extension of that and supporting the scene.
You're kind of like the John Peel of Australia, huh?
Yeah, man.
Like you're like a BBC DJ, you know? But
yeah, and
it's in a different country.
And I'm liking that DJ stuff now. I'm doing that with that metalstation.com, and that's a really fun to be a part of. And you know, a station out of the US there, and being able to represent the underground scene, play bands like yourself and from all over different genres in these interviews. This one will be played on the show as well. So for me, it's always a fucking pleasure to be able to do that.
Oh yeah, man, it's pretty rad.
Yeah. Music. I'm going to get you to pick a couple of tracks, dude. I could waffle on all bloody day, but we should probably cut this a little shorter for the radio. Pick a track, man, from a couple of tracks. Pick a Greylock track, man, off the split. And then one from yourselves. And then I'll play one from Bedtime Magic. I wouldn't mind Pillow Talk, I wouldn't mind playing that.
Yeah, sure.
Last one we were talking about, Walk and Dream, man. That's a cool track.
Yeah, Waking Dream, absolutely.
Dream,
that one's it's a good one. It's got a good hook on it too. Yeah. This is how bad my memory is. I know, dude.
It's all right. I've got all my notes right here on the computer. I do these interviews.
Dude,
pretty freaky.
I don't even know what I was doing 15 minutes ago. I know I ate dinner tonight because my stomach's full. But Pusher by Greylock. I like that one.
Yep.
Yeah, that came out good. Blanket Statement by Us, if you want to play something off of that. Shut Eye is also another one I like a lot.
Yeah, cool. Blanket Statement, Shut Eye.
Yeah.
Cool. I'll write it down because people, I don't like listening to my own voice. I do apologize. It's probably one thing. Do you find that as an artist, as a creative person, that you kind of at times cringe when you hear yourself? Like I don't know. I speak to a lot of creative people and they're the same. They hear themselves and like, fucking dude, I just want to punch myself in the nose.
Yeah, you're your own worst critic, right?
Yeah, but
I mean that's absolutely part of it. Or sometimes I wish I hadn't held back, or I wish I had held back. I mean, just judgment choices that I'm rejudging as I go. I'm like, fuck, I think the worst part is when I can hear something I wanted to be different on a record, and then for the rest of my life, I have to live with that choice that I made on that record.
Yeah, live with that until 6,000 years later, someone rips out some Bedtime Magic and cranks that one.
When they open it up, and our names come out of their mouth, and we're like zombies. We're spirit zombies.
That's it. Nicholas, this has been an absolute pleasure to catch up. I want to catch up again when that album drops, man, and we can talk more about that one. Last word, shout outs or thank yous you want to add in there, my friend?
Just you, mama dude. I mean, it's always great talking to you. It puts a smile on my face.
Yeah, same. Brother.
Oh, shout out to Morgan too. Morgan, who's probably putting his kid to sleep right now.
Yeah, thanks, Morgan, and g'day to your kid. Hope you're going well, man. You will be on next one, man. Look after yourself, Morgan. Nicholas, this has been an absolute pleasure, man. We will talk soon. Everyone, head over to bedtimeboston.bandcamp.com. Go grab a whole heap of fucking merch and music from Bedtime Magic and support them. They got some shows coming up. They got that one on September 11th as well. What else we got there? We got December 16, O'Brien's, man. They're still playing shows. Get along, support your scene while you can. Mask up, do the right thing, support. Cheers, mate.
Yeah, cheers to you as well.